Hello, beloveds. It's me, Bevan. This is Bevan of Femme Over 40 and Her Friends podcast. I'm your host, Bevan. Today, you're my friends. I hope you're always my friends. I mean, why do you tune into a podcast unless you really care? Um, to introduce myself, for anyone who's new here, I teach body positive aerobics. I have been podcasting. I started my first podcast in 2007 and I started my blog in 2008. And I took a break from podcasting from like 2011 to 2019 when I picked it up again in a new format. And so, and I'm still blogging. So I've got a lot to say to the internet. And I really feel like my call in the world is to be here to help. And so everything I've ever done, I've been open about my story on the internet since 2002, which is a long time ago. And it's all just to pass my peace. I figure out how I find my peace and I'm passing it to you. And in these times, TM, it is truly a revolutionary practice to focus on our joy and allow for our joy. Of course, we take time to pay attention and bear witness to what's going on. Right now, a lot of my bearing witness is really focusing on stories from survivors instead of tattletales from the government or the Justice Department, what they're willing to tell us. I am going to the survivors and listening to their stories. And that has felt important to me. And I also do it in the time and space that I have capacity for. I think we're all here. We have our own dumpster fires to help put out. We are not doing this alone. We didn't cause it. We're not going to cure it, but we are here to help, right? And carry it forward. Those are my ethics from it. I don't put my head in the sand, but I also cannot be overwhelmed by the news and everything, right? All the time. So this is my joy practice, and I'm here to share what's bringing me joy these days. And I hope it inspires you to kind of focus on what's bringing you joy and maybe amplifying your joy. Just a couple ticks. Because our joy energy, I'll tell you this, I say this in aerobics all the time. Our suffering does not alleviate anyone else's suffering, but our joy energy does, in fact, help alleviate suffering. It is a measurable impact on the people around you when you have joy energy coming from you. The same thing is true with meditation. So when you take the time to do your mindfulness practices, when you take the time to focus on your joy, if you have the privilege to focus on your joy and you're not doing it and you're just dwelling and suffering and saying nasty things on the internet to people, and taking your precious time, attention, and talent and putting that towards people. Time, treasure, and talent, the only resources we all have. And people are spending that time being keyboard warriors, saying nasty things on the internet, tearing people down. I don't know a single successful, happy person who spends literally any of their moments tearing anyone down on the internet. And that's just true. And I know actually a lot of happy, successful people because that's what I study and that's what I'm focused on being. So, and another reminder is just that you get to define what success means for yourself. I lived many, many years of my adult life living out someone else's good idea for me, and it ended up in a lot of chronic physical illness and mental health issues, which I have been kind of chronicling the relentless pursuit of my joy through my blog and my podcast. And I've talked a lot about mental health on this podcast. So please dig into my archives. I don't remember if this is episode 213 or 214, but we're up there. And that's a numerical one by one, episode by episode. I'm here for you. And thank you to everyone who tunes in. And thank you to everyone who supports my Patreon page, which is where I offer my aerobics classes, my Zoom classes. You can get an all access pass there. My aerobics class is called Fat Kid Dance Party. For anyone who feels left behind by mainstream fitness, if you've ever been called too fat, too much, or felt too awkward to dance, mine is the supportive class for you. And I also offer an on-demand tier where you can just party with me. I mean, I have hundreds of videos now in the library and you can party with me on your schedule. I also have spiritual self-care lessons. So if you want to develop a practice, what I did to become, to practice my spirituality and to, love is a verb and my relationship with God is my first priority. So what are the things that I do? Right. And I just teach from that, and everything I learned is from other people. And then I just kind of figured out how it worked for me. So that's what I'm offering to you. And I'm excited that I started doing that and I keep going. So here we are. Okay, so we're talking about joy. Oh, and I wanted to mention I have a sale going on for the month of February where if you want to buy an annual membership, it's 40% off. It's typically 10% off, but you can get 40% off through March 1st. So please support my aerobics I'm trying to set it up in a way where annually I'll do that sale and it'll help get people just in the mind of like getting themselves set up for their self-care for the rest of the year. Okay. So, what is bringing me joy lately? So many things, actually. I wrote a little list because it's actually just felt so vital to me to be focusing on my joy. First and foremost, rage aerobics doesn't seem to be on its face a joy practice. However, what I found was I kept pulling cards, right? It's in my daily self-care habits to pull tarot cards and to pull oracle cards. And I kept pulling cards about my rage. And I was like, hmm. And I had been doing rage aerobics off and on. Like there's a couple of probably like now I've added some more. So there's probably like 4 or 5 songs specifically in my repertoire, specifically in my choreography that address rage and help to release rage. And I'm such a nerd for the physiology of like how to feel better. The physiology of high performance is what I would call it because you can feel better by doing some things with your body. That your body is designed as this like incredible, miraculous mechanism to make you feel better if you know how to work it, right? So one of the things that I focused on is like how to release rage, right? So I got all these messages. And so then I was like, fine, let me just do something about it. So I did rage aerobics. And it's funny because I noticed in my on-demand library, I had a real hole in like shorter classes that had rage aerobics in them. So I was like, great, here's a mission for the winter to fill that hole. It's like I have an apothecary of videos. And like if you need like a specific, as though you're going for a tincture for your rage, you can go for a video for your rage, for grief, for neck pain, for back pain, for foot stuff. I have a foot stuff episode for foot pain. Right. So lots of things in there, plus like just, music genres you might like, things like that. Um, I am a weirdo artist and I love that about me. It's funny. I was telling a friend today that my mom is my favorite artist. Her quilts are gorgeous. And my mom is like, I don't think you would think by looking at her or talking to her necessarily that she's such a weirdo. But and I don't think she'd like it if she knew I was calling her a weirdo on the internet, but she doesn't listen to my podcast, so that's okay. And this also used to be her sweatshirt. She loves the color orange the most. But my mom is like a real weirdo. She is truly one of one. She's unique. And as a kid, she didn't necessarily support my uniqueness because it scared her because she wanted to keep me safe and being weird is dangerous. However, I ended up weird and I love to witness her weirdness and like her unique artist perspective on the world and how she creates art. I don't know how I got started talking about that, but I want to talk about rage. So, rage aerobics, basically what I found was when I finally did it after the spirits nudged me for a while. When I finally did it, I was like, I realized like within a couple of days, I was like, wow, I feel like I broke a glass ceiling of my ability to connect to delight and joy. Like it was like I had all this rage bubbling in me that hadn't been processed. And then once I processed it, and as I have continued to process it, because I have taught rage aerobics at every weekend class, I teach every Saturday on Zoom. And then at many of my weeknight classes, I always do a low tempo weeknight class. That's a shorter class. And those are the ones that I record for my on-demand membership. Sometimes I record the Saturday ones. Sometimes I do longer in-person classes and I record those for the on-demand membership. But anyway, I really noticed that a rage practice where I embody the rage, like I allow the feelings, because a lot of our feelings simply need to be witnessed compassionately and then given a chance to release. And then we do some movement that helps to release rage. So rage aerobics is a big part of my joy practice right now because there is so much to be mad about. I also did some really significant spiritual work over I got the message the beginning of Capricorn season that I had this work to do, and then I like did a ritual for it that was like an ongoing ritual from the Capricorn new moon, the full lunation to the Aquarius new moon. And that was all about like releasing this like icy, I don't know, it's too hard to explain in this podcast to be short. So I will say I just did this big release of like the hard crusty shell, an icy shell on my feelings. And then I realized I sent this voice note to Jess Baker, one of my good friends, and I was like, this ritual I did, I think it's making me like actually feel even more rage than I was before. Cause like I heard about Deepak being in the Epstein files and I was so mad and like I just like had to go outside and like stomp around under the stars. I really did. And so it's almost like I did this work to be open to more love, but it actually means I need to be open to my full range of emotions, even bigger than what I had self-protected with. So it's kind of wild in here, but your feelings are totally valid. Like that's one of the most important things to know, I think, is that all of your feelings are valid. It's part of the atlas of emotions that Dr. Brene Brown has mapped out for us. Also, just another reminder from Dr. Brene Brown, who is a Scorpio, that shame is actually not a real emotion. Shame is taught to us. And it's usually something that like covers up what we're really feeling. So if we're feeling shame, it's very important to like just pause, recognize that that shame's coming up, and then go to potentially, I like this tool, the emotion wheel, where it just kind of gives you spokes of how to identify what your emotion is and really pinpoint what is actually going on for you. Because there's a lot of times where we just like skip past really acknowledging our emotions and then get into like this like intense shame, right? And even today, I had the opportunity to practice not feeling shame about something. Actually, I never got into this shame. It's something I could have felt shame about, but I was at Habitat for Humanity, a thrift store in Port Townsend, which is near where I live. It's my favorite place to go buy cards and stationery because it's like not that expensive. And it's, you know, I love shopping secondhand. I think it's the most ethical thing to do. I get a really cool wider range of cards. And then I have lots of cards on hand so that I can be the thoughtful version of myself that I want to be and I aspire to be. I really like genuinely, by the time like 20 years from now, I want to be the one that is like always on it with sending a card. I'm better and better year over year. But I will say I have an aspirational version of my organization that I'm not quite at yet. But anyway, I needed to refill my card stock. So I was at Habitat shuffling through and I had to use the restroom. And you have to get a key from the front desk and it's run by volunteers. So there's always like a gaggle of people there. And so there are all these women there and they were like, oh, someone's in the restroom. They have the key. So you have to wait. So then I was like strategically standing next to the restroom, shuffling through my cards. And then someone came who had the key. So no one was in the bathroom. Someone came and had the key and then came out with the key. And then I bum rushed them to like go use, I really had to go. So I go in. And also he said something kind of judgy as I was going in because I was bum rushing. And I was like, I receive no shame from you, sir, about my need to use the restroom and my boldness to just go and get my needs met. So I'm doing that brain process. So then I wash my hands and I leave and I come out and I had handed someone else. No, I did not yet hand someone else the key. I like came out and closed the door. And then I was like, oh crap, I left my purse in there. So then I had to go back up to the front desk and ask them for the key again because I had forgotten my purse in there. And everyone laughed. Like 5 women laughed at me because it was just funny that I had left my purse in there. And so it was funny because like I actually was like walking away from it, getting my purse, and then someone else came and I gave them the key, who needed to use the restroom. And I did not shame her for needing to use the restroom. Such a dumb thing. Like when people shame anyone for something human, crying, going to the restroom, farting, like, listen, there's a time and a place, of course, but like, and there's mindfulness, but also like, come on. Anyway, I will give you the compassion that I wish that you would give me and that I give myself, right? It's a feedback loop. Compassion is always a feedback loop. And when I find myself being judgmental about other people, I also recognize I'm being more judgmental about myself. So I try to always interrupt my judgment thought loops with compassion thought loops. So all these women were laughing, right, at me for leaving my purse in the restroom. And then but then I realized as I was getting my purse, I was like, you know what? I just made 5 people laugh. I made a difference in the world. I'm glad they laughed. And I love the sound of women's laughter. It's one of my favorite sounds in the whole world. I always like to say women's laughter in the woods specifically. So then I was like actually feeling good about making everyone laugh, even at my expense. I don't care. I don't feel shame, right? I've really worked hard to release shame. So then I'm checking out. I bought like 45 cards. I'm like very excited for my card stash and to like organize it in my I have a folder thing. And so I was checking out and I was like, and someone had said, did you get your purse? And I said, I did. And I was like, but I'm really glad I made everyone laugh. That made me happy. And then I made them laugh again, which like, I think also is good. So anyway, release your shame. You don't have to be tied down by it. Okay. So joy practice. Also, laughter. I did a whole episode about laughter yoga with my friend Claire. I don't remember the number of the episode. It's an earlier one. It's probably from 2021, 20, yeah, probably 2021 or 2020. It's with Claire Coughlin Powell. It's a very good episode, and it talks about the practice of laughing and like how doing laughter yoga with Claire has made me more likely to laugh at things, at myself, all of those things, and in a very lighthearted way. Okay. Starry nights. That is bringing me so much joy these days. Even though I live in the Pacific Northwest and it could be cloudy at any moment, the weather can change in 10 minutes here. But when it is clear, this time of year, it's just stunning for stars. I just truly love this planet. We get to be on Earth, the greatest spaceship ever designed. We have forests, we have oceans, and we have stars. And the moon. Oh my God, the moon. I saw her today during the day, and I'm just like, keep me in love with the moon, please. Um, Biscuit Reynolds is my feline overlord and the forever co-host of this podcast. He passed away 2 years ago, and it was during a moon phase, like the waxing crescent moon is when he passed during Aquarius season. So this is like the lunar return of his passing. So the Biscuit Reynolds moon during the month when he passed right before Valentine's Day, February 12th. So anyway, it was just like, it's just been, I love seeing the moon at that phase. I love seeing the moon anytime, but like at that phase specifically where it looks like a big Cheshire cat smile, that's my guy. It's like, and there's a great episode I did with my friend Bianca Russo. Every episode with Bianca is great. I think there's three, but there's one where we talked about mental health spirals. And she has a theory that like, because she can spiral down, she can also spiral up. And this is what my joy practice is about. It's about how I spiral up from like everything is making me rage because of pedobillionaires, and lots of other reasons that are totally valid for rage, right? And also, there are things that bring me joy because I'm on this gorgeous floating rock through space where I get forests and oceans and starry, starry nights. So I have a habit on my little habit list. I use the Finch self-care app. I have a little burb that I get to dress up in clothes and who has a list of my habits for the day. And one of my habits is check for stars right before bed. I like to say goodnight to the stars. And it's also just a good reminder that like if it was cloudy 2 hours ago, it might not be cloudy right now. So go check. And I never regret it, even if it's like rainy and gross outside. Like it's still nice to have looked. And sometimes the moon is shining through anyway, or Jupiter. Both are very bright out here right now, this time of year. The ocean brings me a lot of joy. I know that's a really simple thing, but like living near a body of water that I can see every day, I did not realize what an impact that would make on my energy. But now that I do, I like can't imagine living anywhere else. It's so good for me to see the ocean during the day. Anyway, I just love it. It brings me a lot of peace and joy and energetic uplift. I can't even fully explain. Chocolate chip pancakes. Right? Like that's simple, right? But like I'm a person who lives rurally, which means I'm not easily like I have to drive a half an hour one way or like 20 something minutes the other way in order to get to a grocery store. And so that's not an easy thing to do. And it's not something you do kind of unplanned. You know what I mean? And so like if like I have a craving for a sweet treat at night, chocolate chip pancakes can really hit the spot. And like it's a vector for maple syrup, and organic maple syrup is my favorite thing that God ever made. So like it's just a win-win. And I was not turned on to chocolate chip pancakes until probably November, December of last year. I finally watched the show Hacks. I just hadn't watched it. I tried and I didn't get into it the first episode, so I just gave up. And then my friend, shout out to Danette. I know you listen to the podcast. Danette suggested I watch Hacks, and so I was like, okay, I will. And I did. And it was so good. Oh, I loved that show. And there's one character who's like obsessed with chocolate chip pancakes. So it made me decide to try it. And now it's something like I keep in my like go bag for like kitchen stuff for pet sits, because then I know I have like this little treat available for me should I want an evening chocolate chip pancake moment. So maybe that'll inspire you to have your chocolate chip pancake moment. But wow, chocolate chip pancakes. What a simple delight. It's like a cookie that you make in a pan, and then it's a vector for maple syrup. Anyway, and butter. Anyway. Okay. The song Free to Decide by the Cranberries It's a 90s hit. And I mean, like, I think not everyone had that CD in the 90s, but probably a lot of people had that CD in the 90s. And it is a really good CD. I forget about it. And I hadn't listened to Free to Decide in probably 20 years. And it played at the food co-op grocery store, not the regular grocery store, but the food co-op. And I was like, Free to Decide. This is a great song. I forgot about this song. So now I'm obsessed with it. I've been listening to it a lot and like all sorts of 90s Cranberries music. And I just have to say, like, once you've done some good liberation work, like your perspective, like we are not aware of the cage in our brain until we become aware of the cage in our brain. And then we do work because self-awareness, it's awareness, acceptance, action, right? Like I learned that in Al-Anon recovery. But basically, like you have to be aware of the thing and then radically accept it. And then whatever action comes through. Sometimes acceptance is the action you need, but sometimes you have to do more. And the cage in our brains, right? Like that, just understanding that we are free to decide. That is the work. Like everything I do is about passing the peace, but it's really also about liberation work because liberation is really caught, it's not taught. And so you got to hang out with people who are free in their minds. And that really makes such a big difference to your quality of life. There's so much that people do. My friend Cam said this today during the Fat Kid Dance Party check-in, but there's so many people who live lives that are not meaningful. And they just kind of accept other people's good ideas for themselves, as I used to. And it's like turning a cargo ship in the ocean. You can't like flip a U and suddenly become really liberated. You got to like slowly but surely like figure out, what do I really want? Who am I really? Like outside of the ideas that other people had for me, you know, and like things that never kept you safe. There's a great Florence and the Machine lyric from her new album. It's the song Sympathy Magic, and I can't even remember the exact lyric, but it's basically like, I will not be good because it didn't keep me safe the way you told me it would, you know, like, so anyway, like you can be so good, so kind without like doing other people's like ideas, right? Anyway, Free to Decide by the Cranberries. I'm just saying, put it on, give it a shot. It's a joy. It's just a little bubble of joy for me. I love it so much. There's a cowbell in it. Come on. And you know what? If I were the producer of that song, if I had been in the studio with them, I would have said more cowbell. And I do want to say that when I was a drag king performer in the early aughts, I performed the Christopher Walken character from that SNL skit. And this was back in the day where it was actually really hard to get MP3s from random things that you saw on TV, but we managed to make an MP3 of it and we performed it all as drag kings. And it was so funny. And the fact that I got to be the one that said more cowbell, what a pinnacle of my artist career. I am so grateful for the weird art I have made and continue to make. Just last week, my low tempo aerobics class was a quote, crowing in honor of Catherine O'Hara. May she rest in power. When she passed away, I realized that every second I spent with Catherine O'Hara was a delight. I was delighted by her. Every piece of art she's made, even in Last of Us, where she was real serious. And there were crows also in Last of Us around Catherine O'Hara. But the crowing stuff is really from her role in Schitt's Creek as Moira Rose. And I just really wanted to like honor her because part of my grieving process is making weird art about the things that mattered to me. I've made now 3 aerobics classes about Bobby Weir's death. I'm not done. I got more to do. One of them was Rage Aerobics to his beautiful song Throwing Stones, which is like, oh, I love that song. And combined with Latigra's My Metro card, only I would come up with that combo, but it works really well together. It's a good little mini Rage Aerobics class. And so the crowing. I don't know. I was just like, what kind of emotional catharsis can we have if we act like crows for 5 minutes? To a Sinead O'Connor song, The Emperor's New Clothes, is that what it's called? Anyway, also the Sinead O'Connor CD I want to recommend to you, and I'll call it a CD even though it's on Spotify. It's The Emperor's New Clothes. That's the song. I do not want what I haven't got. It's a 1990 CD. Many of us had it. It had Nothing Compares to You on it, which is written by Prince, FYI. But it's a really good CD. And I actually think, especially in this time with the Epstein files, right? Sinead was right. Like she was such a visionary and she really suffered for it. Like not only from the slings and arrows of like shitty people taking time to write shitty things about her, but also, people in power who didn't want her speaking, truth to pseudo power, right? And it's pseudo power. That's something Michael Bernard Beckwith teaches on a lot. Is like it's pseudo power. This is not real power. Real power is God, and like everything else is pseudo power. Like we used to believe in the divine right of kings. Like that's how you were raised, is that the king was appointed by God to be the boss of everybody. But actually, that God doesn't appoint people like that. Everyone is anointed to be themselves and to offer their special gifts and unique talents to the earth. Power and control is a grab from people who are just trying to control people. Anyway, being free to decide and getting free in your mind is a way to get out of that. And then it's really people power, because like that's I found a very good simple explanation for capitalism recently, where it's basically like it's not, they don't want to teach us about communism because they don't want people to understand why capitalism is bad. Capitalism makes it seem like everyone has a chance to be rich, but actually the way it works is they make you have to pay for your like living expenses, like as though you are born on the earth and aren't entitled to shelter or like healthcare or food. Like the earth gives us so abundantly food, and then they hoard it and sell it back to us and make us trade our time and labor in order to have shelter and food. And then people right now, we're having like mass disabling stuff going on, right? Like COVID-19 is a disabling virus. Like people are just not like they can't keep extracting from finite resources like human beings and human bodies. And so and there the greed has gone so far that I think finally the emperor's new clothes are being like revealed and seen. So anyway, I wanted to do I've been really thinking about Sinead O'Connor and crows and the crowing and Catherine O'Hara. And so that's what we did. We danced to that. But like it's people power, and it's people collectively working together like they have done so heroically in Minneapolis. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm talking about 90s songs that are making me have joy right now, but also just thinking a lot too about like Sinead O'Connor and like mental how much mental health and mental wellness she sacrificed to speak out um against that in a time where people were like still so like, I mean, to be a visionary, is really hard because like you're seeing things that other people can't see. And anyway, I just want to be the kind of person that can teach people how to have the fortitude to be a visionary, because we need your visions for this planet, because the role of the artist is to make the revolutionary so irresistible. Okay, let's see what else. Portishead. The Portishead, like the Dummy album. Oh my God, I'm so into it. Again, a renewed interest in something I loved a lot in the 90s. I want to tell a story for those of you who love my self-disclosures and my stories. I was a late bloomer when it came to being sexually intimate with someone. I don't like the term virginity. I think it's a construct of the patriarchy. You're not surprised to hear that. I like to call it a sexual debut. But I was really like, I felt quote unquote behind because I was behind my peers, but I didn't have the emotional maturity or like confidence in myself to have like an intimate body experience with someone, even when I finally did it at like I think I was 21, which is so young in my opinion, but also like felt so old at the time. And it was after a party at my friend's house, and it was one of my college friends. I was already in law school, but I was a young kid. Like I skipped first grade, so I was young for all my grades. And so I was already in law school, and I was back visiting my college town, and my friend had a party. And so I was like at the party, a bunch of my friends came because everyone wanted to see me. And like then this one of my sorority sisters hung out after. And then my friend Diana, whose house it was, left her Portishead CD playing for us on her CD changer because that was the time. And what is so funny is that the woman that I was making out with, like she heard Portishead playing, and then at some point she got up and like had to change it. I still to this day don't know why she changed it, but that's what I always think about when I think of the Portishead CD, is like that moment where like I could have had my sexual debut to Portishead, and instead, Diane had gotten from Tower Records in the bargain bin the full album from Whitetown, which is a band who was a one-hit wonder, and their one hit was "I Could Never Be Your Woman." So that album was the one that was playing. And I'm just saying, like, I can't hear that song without thinking about it, and I can't hear Portishead without thinking about it. But oh, it could have been. And anyway, Portishead is just such a great, like, moody CD. If you haven't listened to it, highly recommend it. The 90s live on in my heart. What a time. What a time that I got to live through. I'm glad I got to be a teen in the 90s. That was a fun time. Really good art. Really, really good art. Also, I didn't know, I don't know if this is something that brings me, it kind of brings me joy to know about this, but I didn't know that Jerry, Ginger Spice, and Mel B, Scary Spice, were a lesbian situationship until like a few years ago when the internet shared that with me. And so, and I just heard that they had a Netflix documentary about like their reunion tour that got canceled because of their messy lesbian situationship that's still messy. And I'm like, wow, that is some real gay stuff. I'm proud of them, but also surprised that as a queer femme, like baby in the 90s, who was obsessed with the Spice Girls. And in fact, my hair is blonde and red, and I always identify it as Ginger Spice. And I will tell you, I've had her hair color longer than she did. She just had like blonde stripes in the front, which is how I had it for a really long time. And then at some point, a Pisces friend of mine bullied me into blondening more of my hair. And I'm actually really glad because I think the aesthetic is better and brighter and is a higher vibration for me. But I will never not have my like bright auburn under, what is it, a weft? I don't know. Anyway, I don't, it's like the under third of my hair is all red. Anyway, that's my this. Welcome to my podcast. Welcome to my solo episodes where I just like go down the list. Okay. Um, okay. Another thing that's bringing me so much joy right now is Brandi Marie Carlile. She is on tour, which means there's so much social media coming out about her and for her. I have watched her human tour. Okay, pet peeve about this day and age and artists is like when you bother to go on an arena tour and you're not live streaming at least one of your concerts, I feel left out intentionally. Because first of all, I think it's way more accessible to have a live stream. We learned this in the pandemic. Like you can get to a lot of people from a live stream. I felt like genuinely left out when John Mayer this is my emotional and this is the clouds that can come through. When John Clayton Mayer went on his Sob Rock arena tour and did not, because I was so used to him being on tour with Dead and Company and like giving me like at least an opening snippet on YouTube, because Dead and Company did a really good job of live streaming. He would call it a couch tour. They live streamed every one of their shows. You could buy for $500. And if I had had the $500, believe me, I would have spent it. But you could watch every single one of their shows. But even getting to see like one or two numbers from each of their shows was so special. And I was so grateful for it. So then when he went on tour with Sob Rock and did not live stream even one show, I was really bummed about that. So all that to say, it's just a pet peeve of mine. I just think like the technology's there. There's more people who want to spend their money to see your show. Please bring us access. Like I feel like it's more accessible for me. I don't like crowds. I don't like arenas. I don't want to deal with parking. I don't want to deal with the crowds. I see the seats that they have at the Gorge, which is an amphitheater about 4 hours from me. And I want to go to a Gorge show, but like I don't want to sit in that crappy folding chair. You know what I mean? Like, so anyway, I just have opinions and I would rather live stream is my preference. And so I just like, and I would go to I would spend $500 to watch every Brandi Carlile concert if they would live stream all of them, if I had it. I hope I would have it. But anyway, so she last minute decided to live stream her Minneapolis concert from this weekend. And it was like a 48-hour live stream. I watched that thing 3 times. And believe me, I'm going to go check and see if I still have some access left and if I can still live stream some more. I have loved it. And someone kindly did a nice little shaky YouTube video of the entire first night of her tour in Philadelphia. And anyway, so I just love Brandi Carlile so much. She brings me so much joy. And I think there's something about the fan experience where like when you really like something, like dive into it. Like this is just like there's so much to be sad about right now in the world. But like if there's something that brings you joy, dive into it. Just my friend Sonia, who's been on this podcast many times, she's such a big K-pop fan and it brings her so much joy. And she has been like protesting against ICE and organizing against ICE since like the 20 teens. Like she's been doing this forever. So like her political consciousness will really like put a sour taste on the world, but like I see the way her K-pop fandom like elevates her vibe, right? And so I just really ever since Bobby Weir died, I just feel like it's so essential now. Like you just gotta like love the artists you love, and you gotta like love them hard while they're still here making their art, you know? Um, anyway, that's like I have so many little soapboxes I can get on. Thanks for listening. So I want you just love the thing you love and be unapologetic about it. So anyway, I've just been deep in the Brandi Carlile hole. Um, and I just found out literally she is so like last minute. Like I feel like I have to have a Brandi Carlile budget with $30 at any moment because like that 2 days before her concert, she's like, "Hey, I'm live streaming my concert. Spend 30." I mean, it was $30 going to Minneapolis like relief funds. It wasn't like for her, right? But anyway, I'm really glad she live streamed her concert. It was so good. I got to see up close. Like it was different than the shaky YouTube video, different, way better sound quality, way better like camera work, of course. But it's still been fun to like watch so many songs, even from other people's like one-off songs from the tour, to get to watch that. So anyway, I'm a premium Bramley member, so I get pre-sale access. And I just found out today that she's coming to Bend, Oregon, which is not that far from me. And with Kristen Key, one of my favorite comedians. Kristen Key famously held Biscuit Reynolds because she toured here to my lesbian land. She continues to blow up. I think she's a little too big to come to the lesbian land now. But she came by, like everyone brought, because she loves pets so much, especially cats, that people brought their dogs over after her show to like have her meet and greet their dogs. And then I have so many cute videos from that. And then I told her, I was like, if you're willing to come up, I live just up on First Street. If you're willing to come up and come to my garden, you can meet my cat, Biscuit Reynolds. So I have a very cute photo of her holding Biscuit Reynolds. He also met my favorite porn star. Anyway, he's had a few like celebrity meet and greets at my home, and I love that for him. Macy, my dog, was way more of a celebrity than Biscuit Reynolds, but Biscuit Reynolds was an icon in his own way. So anyway, but Kristen Key and Brandi Carlile are doing a thing in Bend, Oregon, and I want to go. And so, but here's the thing: I'm such a pillow princess when it comes to buying tickets that like I don't know how Ticketmaster works anymore. I bought tickets for Queen Herbie. This is the first time I had bought tickets on Ticketmaster, I kid you not, since 2008 because the address I had on there was from my like from the house that I lived in 2008. And I was like, I cannot believe I've gotten away this long with getting other people to buy tickets and just paying them back. But listen, you can do it. And so like I can't figure out like how to figure out how much these tickets are. I have pre-sale. I have pre-sale access starts tomorrow. Way to give me no notice, Brandi. I don't think I have enough in my savings account to pay for it. So I might just have to rely on buying secondhand tickets. But anyway, I don't know how to figure it out. I'm like not that good at buying tickets, and I really just want someone else to figure it out for me. But I don't have like a Brandi Carlile ride or die who's like in my life and doing that yet. I call it in. Manifesting. Okay. But all that to say, I made a really hard choice, to be honest. May 29th, Queen Herbie, who's like probably it's like if you look at my Spotify artist top five, it's like Brandi Carlile, Dead and Company, usually then the Grateful Dead, and then Queen Herbie, and then someone else. A lot of times it's Prince, but it kind of depends on what I'm listening to. So, but sometimes it can be like Brandi Carlile, Queen. It's usually Dead and Company is usually second. So like, anyway, Queen Herbie's always up in the top five. I love her so much. She's witchy, she's funny, she does like really good like rap and singing, and like she's really into like, and her Patreon is excellent. Like it's one of my favorite VIP fan communities I've ever been in. So like between Queen Herbie and Brandi, I'm like very much like saturated in like these like cool artists that like if Queen Herbie had existed and not been in elementary school when I was in high school, I think I would have dropped out of high school and pursued my art because she is like really good at helping people. Like just from her podcast, I've learned a lot about like being a DIY artist and like figuring out your stuff. She had a record contract for like 7 years and then left her record contract and then went independent and like changed her name, like rebranded. And now she's been at her game for quite some time, and it's so cool to watch her level up. I've been a Queen Herbie fan for about 4 or 5 years, and it's been very gratifying. So when she announced her tour and she was going to be in Seattle on May 29th, I was like trying to figure out I was like, why does that date sound so familiar? And then I realized, oh my God, the week before, Brandi Carlile had announced that she was going to be at the Gorge with the Indigo Girls, who are like truly one of my longtime most favorite bands. But I've seen Indigo Girls play a lot of times in a lot of places, and I like actively prefer them in a smaller venue. So like seeing them at the Gorge would be beautiful, but a little unsatisfying to me because I've had it so good. I've had Amy Ray and her first solo tour in like the teeniest place in Philly, and I was like right up in front and center. So like, and I've seen them in tiny clubs. I've seen them at like small festivals. So like I've had some, and I've seen them in arenas, and I hated it. So like I was like, I don't want to, like I'm just gonna stay. And the last time I saw them was like, I want to say it was 2023 or 2024. They came to Port Townsend and played a 900 seat venue. So listen, you can hold out for the good small venues for Indigo Girls. So I was kind of like, I love Brandi, I love Indigo Girls, I want to see them together, but I wasn't like sure that I could make even the finances work to buy the tickets ahead of time, right? So, and being in the Bramley like premium Meow Meow, it's an app now. It used to be a crappy website for them. But being in there means I usually get access to other people selling their tickets, right? So I was kind of just planning to buy tickets later, and then Queen Herbie 1 week later announced her tour, and I was like, okay, so I'm literally choosing Queen Herbie over Brandi Carlile, and I can't believe that's happening. But look at what's happening now is that Brandi has now announced another show the weekend before. So I think everything's working out. Everything is always working out for me. That's my favorite affirmation. So, and I'm really excited to go see Queen Herbie because I tried to get tickets last time she came through Seattle, and like I tried, she added another date, and they both sold out so fast. And again, I'm not great at buying tickets. I don't understand how people get on it and do it at the right time and make it happen. But I definitely missed out on both of those times where those tickets were for sale. So like I just bought my pre-sale because I had pre-sale access because I'm in the VIP community. Listen, be in people's VIP fan community. If you're on my Patreon page, you know you get first access to all of my in-person classes because I want to seat it with my most devoted fans, right? And if you're willing, I mean, I let anyone who even has free, you can sign up for free on my Patreon page and you get lots of freebies from me and you get that access. So anyway, that's free on my thing. I pay money for Queen Herbie and Brandi. I should have paused the recording. It's all right. I'm drinking um rose and tulsi tea, which is actually really good for your heart. Tulsi is really good for, it's kind of an all-purpose healer, but it's a really good anti-inflammatory immune support. And rose is really good for your heart health and just in general high vibes and emotions, etc. So rose and tulsi tea is like one of my favorite nighttime teas. Okay. I'm talking about things that I'm so excited about. So I'm talking like a mile a minute. I hope people are enjoying the pace of this podcast. So I chose Queen Herbie over Brandi Carlile, but I don't think I'm actually having to make Sophie's choice. I feel good about it. But I'm excited to go in Seattle, actually. I really considered like trying to go to St. Louis to see it with some of my friends in the middle of the country because I have Queen Herbie friends. They're just not local, you know? And but then I just decided to do it in Seattle because I'm like, I need Queen Herbie local friends. And how am I going to make them? By going to the Queen Herbie show. So that's where I will be on May 29th. I'm very excited. I have 2 tickets. If anybody wants to go with me, come with me. I got great pre-sale prices on those. Um, did I figure out how much? I think I didn't figure out how much they were going to be beforehand because I don't know how to figure it out. Like there's nothing on Ticketmaster that makes me understand before the ticket's on sale how much it is. But then when I went to go buy tickets for Queen Herbie, I was like, okay, I can make this work. And so I did. Anyway, I used some of my Christmas money for it. And that was another thing that brought me joy this month, this past month, in the past couple months since Christmas. It's been 2 months already since Christmas. Hard to believe. But I used my Christmas gifts. I was like very intentional this year. I was like, I am not saving anything. I am using it all right away. My friend Spunky bought me 2 different tins of Harney and Son teas, which are very good. It's like one of the higher quality tea brands. I love tea as an affordable luxury. And she bought me this tea blend called White Christmas, and it had 25 bags in it. And I was like, I'm going to drink this up. And I just finished a tin a couple weeks ago, and I'm really proud of me for drinking it up. So I had it in the mornings. Not every morning, but many mornings, and other little things. Like I'm just using it up because like there's no point in like saving things for what? You know what I mean? Like for what? For why would I say? I've saved so many things so many times and then found them later and been like, oh shoot, I should have used this, or oh shoot, it's bad now. Like, by the way, chocolate goes bad. So you got to use it up or put it in the freezer. So just little things like that that I used to like, I don't know, I think it's scarcity mindset. I'm just like getting more and more into abundance. Use it now. Don't keep more than you need. I've been like really, really working on decluttering and like releasing things that I don't need to save out of scarcity. So that's been bringing me joy. It's just using my stuff. Use the incense, like use the candles. Just do it. I mean, do what makes sense to you, however you want. I'm not here to boss you. I'm just here to give you good ideas. Okay. I'm passing my piece. Something else that has oh my God, bringing me so much joy. Holding space. Holding space is bringing me so much joy. It's something interesting that has like come up a lot to me, is like something that people just really need in these times is people to hold space for them. And one of the best, so if you haven't listened to the podcast before or recently, I've been in psychic mediumship development. So I've been a Reiki master healer. I've been doing Reiki since 2013, so it's been a long time. And just kind of like in the metaphysical arts, and just growing and learning in that. And I never thought, and I kind of identified myself as like, I think I'm ready to identify as psychic, like probably around 2016, 2017. And then like, even though like now in hindsight, I can see how my psychic gifts were showing up and I didn't know to know. And so like in hindsight, I can be like, oh, that was a psychic hit that I didn't realize I was getting. And now I just like don't gaslight myself around my intuition anymore. I trust that I know, even if it's an unseen knowledge source, because that's very anti-colonial, is to trust unseen knowledge sources. And so I went into psychic mediumship development in the last year, and it became very clear I needed to practice and like start doing readings. And I've been, one of the best compliments and reviews I got from someone from one of the readings was just how well I held space for them and how like safe they felt in my container. And that is very much by design. Like I'm really here to like create a space for people to hear from their spirits. But I also do business brainstorm sessions where I like help people figure out like how to have like, listen, marketing is like a thing where you could spend all your time marketing and like throwing time into the wind, like these social media sites are insatiable for content. And like, I help people kind of create their priorities and then figure out how to slot in the priority plan. So I do all of that stuff. And like, I have just really found that in addition to what I do with my Zoom aerobics classes, because I teach a dance class and then afterwards we check in about self-care. And so that's my chance to just sit with everyone, get to know them, connect with them, and hear what's going on in their life around self-care. And these check-ins have been getting only better and better over time as the community develops and people understand they don't have to perform okayness. And I just love this community so, so much. And I'm so grateful to have this container and to just keep developing the container and to keep being able to hold space. I have recently gotten into TikTok. I know I'm like 8 years late to this, but whatever. I just didn't get it. And then now I realized I don't have to get it. I can just use it, and that's been different. So, I've been noticing that like good live creators, because TikTok will really push out when people are live, and good live creators are holding space well. And so that's what I want to offer for TikTok lives. I don't know like how long I'm going to try to do TikTok lives, like it's a really, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, like what makes sense for what I can offer there, but holding space really at this point means, being present, interacting with people. And the good lives, like the people who are on the thing are like interacting with their audience. And there's this tarot reader that I'm like high key obsessed with, Private Eye Tarot on all the things. He's an Aquarius sun, Gemini moon, Leo rising, and he is just so good. He grew up in beauty shops, and so he's just really good at holding space. And so he described it. He's like, I feel like I'm having like 10 conversations at once, like with all the people in the live chat. And then meanwhile, he's like doing tarot readings for people as they like send him gifts. Like there's this TikTok currency where you can send people gifts. And so he's like doing tarot readings. So it's so fun. Like I like tune in just to like watch other people's business and like chat in the chat, and I'll like, do a puzzle or do my dishes or like, do my administrative work or something while like feeling like someone's keeping me company. You know what I mean? Anyway, I love to body double, which is like where someone else is like holding space while you're doing a thing that maybe you don't want to do, right? So it's a helpful tool for ADHD cuties. And so I've been like having so much fun in that little like TikTok live tarot shop where this person is just holding space. And I'm learning a lot from him delivering bad news to people. Like he's like, ooh, like he's just so empathetic and really good at delivering like hard things. And I will say, like, not a lot of my readings that I've been giving have a lot of hard news coming through necessarily. And I'm sure someday they will. And I think tarot is way different of a divination source than um asking for messages of love, empowerment, and healing. Right, specifically. So anyway, we'll see. But I'm learning a lot from it and enjoying it. And so that's the thing that's also bringing me joy. Um, Also, my friend, there's a good friend of mine here who's been dating, and so it's kind of fun to give her dating advice when she asks. She's always it's always by ask, right? Like some people I'll give advice just I will be like, I'm giving you unsolicited advice right now, but usually I ask. But she asked me recently, like, did I have any experience dating two people at once? And I was like, oh, sure do. And so then I gave her a couple of stories. One of them, when I was in law school, I was dating simultaneously two women named Jen who lived in different states than me and who were also in law school. And after dating the two of them, it was fine that I was dating both of them. Like we weren't monogamous or anything. But like after that, I decided I was never going to date another lawyer or law student. I'm not going to even get into the reasons for it, but I will say like I think it was here's the reason. It was frustrating for both of them that like certain things about law. I was like a full-time drag king while I was in law school. Like I was working like part-time to full-time. So I was busy and not studying near as hard as them. And I was at a higher tier law school than both of them. Like by a lot, it was a way better school than both of them. I mean, they rank all the law schools, you know. And but like I'm talented at academics. Like beware of being talented at something that doesn't matter to you. You know what I mean? And so like it was very frustrating in that dynamic that they were so frustrated with me that things came easy for me that wasn't easy for them. And I'm like, listen, and one of them, both of them, still working lawyers, good for them, and married to women and have kids, good for them. But I it's like I'm never dating another lawyer law student. This is a weird dynamic. I don't like it. Um, and there was another time where there's multiple times I've dated multiple people at once. And so I was enjoying holding space for my friend because I can like use like listen, my dating stuff is rusty. I have not like been actively dating with the exception of like a brief little two date thing that really hit my heart in 2023 and that's it. So like I don't know. I feel like I'm on the shelf or I'm in a dugout and like I don't really care. Like I can die a spinster gay aunt. It's fine. Like I'm doing my best to like bring love to the world. I romance my friends. Like am I painfully lonely sometimes? Absolutely. But whatever. So who isn't? And lots of people I know, lots of people are painfully lonely in relationships. And so I would rather be happily single than not unhappily married, which like on the spectrum of where to be. Yeah, so holding space, it's bringing me a lot of joy. It's just like having the space to do that kind of thing. Um, what else? Ooh, clarity is bringing me a lot of joy. Something to pray for sometimes is clarity, because like it doesn't make things easier necessarily, but like I had two people reach out to me within the space of 2 days who I've found to be who I have already decided I don't want to have relationships with, but but I don't know. Like my friend gave me a really good like thing about ghosting is like when you ghost someone like and I'm not much of a person to ghost. I will tell someone why I don't want to be in a relationship with them anymore, but most people don't ask, and like um but anyway, it was funny because someone reached out for me to be in their book who had been actually cruel to me in 2019. And like I really specifically remember why I was like, I'm not friends with this person anymore. And then I'm like, I'm still waiting for therapy. I have therapy in a few days. And sometimes a good boundary with myself is like, I'm not going to respond to this until I go to therapy so I can talk through what my feelings are, because like part of me is like, I should tell her exactly what. I don't want anything to do with her. Because I can't be in integrity with myself and talk to her without telling her you did a very cruel thing and I'm not in a position to care to forgive you. But she didn't even come to me with like, hey, I've changed a lot, I've evolved a lot. No, she's just like, hey, I'm doing this thing and I want your help. And I'm like, not willing to help her. So I don't know if I will respond. I may respond, I may not, but I'm going to talk to my therapist about it. But it was funny because, like, at first I was like, I did not have clarity about it, but then clarity, like the fog cleared and the clarity came. So I was like, wow, okay, great. Here we go. So I appreciate clarity. I appreciate you for tuning into this podcast episode. I hope that wherever you are figuring out how to find at least a little scrap of joy and try to spiral up a little bit. But I also understand if you're in grief or grieving or like stress or anxiety or whatever and can't, or depression, boy, do I understand that. But I love you and I appreciate you for tuning into this. And I hope to see you again real soon. Bye, everybody.